Hey there. Haven't done this in a while. I had forgotten that it was important. The importance of things is much easier to see in hindsight after you've given things time. And it's always easier to see the value of something after you've lost it. And in the moment, it's very, very difficult to give things their proper time and place, even if you really need to, or at least it is for me. Where I try and prioritize others, it ends up coming back to bite me because I need to focus on myself. And I really need to appreciate myself more, especially in moments like this where everything is hurting. And it feels like everyone is coming out of the woodwork to try and help. But in the darkest hour, it seems like that's when it's hardest, and that's when you need to be able to be good with yourself the most. So where does that leave it? What has happened since the last time that I touched base? I got involved with somebody who was incredibly amazing and helpful and helped me grow, and now we are apart. And it feels like I lost something that I didn't even know that I needed. And I don't know if I can get it back. And it's not, I think the problem is trying to frame the idea as getting back the same thing, whereas it's more of a needing to look forward and trying to get something that I can't even anticipate as needing right now, because everything just feels like pain. And where does this pain come from? A lot of it is unresolved issues from the past that I'm trying to work on and get help with. And of course, a lot of it is mourning the higher quality of living that I was afforded. But I feel like this is a lesson that I should have learned by now, right? Like, the idea is ultimately that you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know, and that you have to understand that doing the same thing over and over again has results which lead to similar conclusions. This is the problem that I've been having up until this point of why do I keep making the same mistakes? And it's not the same mistakes, is it? It's the same outcome from a different location, but my reaction is always the same. It's to dive too deep into somebody else and forget about myself, expect them to do the same, be disappointed, and then be upset, and then afterwards realize how much I could have done better in the moment, but I was too busy worrying about everything and making things worse because I was worried and scared. And the fear of losing things is the most brutal thing that you can apply to any situation, because the fear will lead you to the end that you are so fearful of. Or at least in my case, it has almost 100% certainty to do so, and so compounds the situation where I will always be afraid because I keep doing this thing that it seems like I have no help or impact over. At the start of this, I was seeking counseling back in October, I believe, of last year, which should have been roughly around the last time that I had said something. I miss diarying. I miss doing these voice logs. But it always feels like there's something sharp in me that I try to get out and it just won't leave. So then it feels like it's all pointless. So maybe just talking to a void is what it all boils down to in the end. Where things are at their most dire, who do you have to rely on? You, obviously, but the inevitability of time marching forward. There will always be improvements and things that we do for ourselves or for others. And it's hard to see where you are from where you're standing. It's impossible, nearly, for me at least, or for most people, to see where they are from inside a situation. So am I trying to do the impossible? Or is there something simpler at work here that I feel is just too grating? Am I doomed to repeat the cycle? Or is there some sort of madness that is spreading that I can avoid or quell or reduce? What I think it might end up dialing down to is needing to stay in these habits despite my desire to abandon them for the sake of helping others, because I am as important, if not more important, than the people that I put myself in front of. And I've been trained my entire life that you shouldn't try and prioritize yourself, you should try and prioritize others. And so my body and mind are at war, where I want to prioritize myself, but I feel like I don't know how or have no ability to. But I feel like those are also just convenient excuses that I lean upon when things like this happen. So where does that leave me? Back to square one. And yet, I'm better than where I was when I first started. But I feel like I'm the same. I guess the me is still the same, bound by the same structures. Time has passed, and things have happened. And my position is far superior. I am at a job that is allowing me to do things for myself that I've been needing to do for years. And yet, I still wish that I could just... It feels like it's not real. It feels like none of it was really real. And that's what sucks, because there's still memories and pieces. And everything reminds me, and it all hurts. It hurts so much. But it's also, like, it feels like it's my fault, but it's also not my fault. But it's also the fault of the person who is perpetrating the things. But I feel like we didn't realize what we were getting into when we first started. But it's also really hard to tell what that is, isn't it? And now we're both doing our own thing and trying to grow on our own, and that's what we said we should be able to do. It's super hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, because it feels like I finally got something that was worthwhile, and I lost it. But I suppose I need to become someone worthwhile. Will I ever be able to see myself as that? I don't know, but I would like to try. And now I've got this sheet of paper in front of me that I've had in front of me for the last 2 weeks, with these things that I need to remind myself of. Their thoughts, their allegations, their the points that I've been trying to make, things that I think about myself but I forget to verbalize because, you are the only person that can help you. Things can only get better from here. Pain and loss are natural parts of life which bring value to the things we own and times of peace. Pain is temporary. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare to who you were yesterday. Each day is a gift. And most importantly, you are enough. So who was I yesterday, and what do we define as yesterday? Are we defining yesterday as the last time that I reported? Or are we defining yesterday as literally yesterday? Or are we defining yesterday as the me that existed for that period of time that I felt so happy? Or are we defining me yesterday as like the period before I woke up, where I'm now realizing what I had, how nice it was, how many improvements I can make now. I think it's all of them. I think my entire past is yesterday, because the past is all functionally the same thing. I have come so far and done so much, and there's still so much to be done, and life is exhausting. But that's only because I try and measure things and say that I need to do more and be more. But really, I am excelling above and beyond. It's just, I get impatient, and my impatience leads me to destructive tendencies, I suppose. And pushing away those that are near to me to try and see how willing they are to stay despite. So, maybe you could find somebody that's very similar, and you push them away, they push you away, but then you come back together at some point. As something has happened before, it can happen again, but it just feels like it's wrong for me to try and reach out right now when the other person is trying their hardest to do the things that they think they need to do. Like, I would just weigh them down at this point, and that's the reason that we broke up in the first place, was they were saying that I was weighing them down. So can we come back together when they're whole again, or will they have completely forgotten me by then? I suppose only time will tell, and maybe there's another eventuality on the horizon that I've yet to see, because I certainly didn't even see any of the eventualities that had happened in the past. Even while it was happening, it felt unreal and like it was too good to be true, and I guess it turned out to be that way. But it was still an incredible period of growth and helped me in a lot of ways and pointed me to seeing that I'm on the right path. Even then I was on the right path, now I'm on the right path, and it still feels weird and like I don't have much sway over it, but I still know what I'm doing and where I'm going and how to improve. The hardest thing, though, is to keep coming back to where I am right now in terms of understanding, especially while I'm in a situation. If I can ever get to that point, things will be incredible and I will be the person that I want to be.